Yes, people, welcome back to Albert JTV match review time. But before we get into it, people, let's hit the intro. Yes, people, welcome back to Albert JTV for a live stream match review. It's been a while, but nice to come back and do one of a nice 1-0 away victory down in the Midlands or up in the Midlands, wherever way you want to look at it. But people, if you're joining the channel, smash the like button straight away and subscribe to the channel, and obviously follow my esteemed guest, Guna Souls. Hopefully, Scott Bulger should be on his way. I know. Remember, he's 11 hours ahead, so it's probably about after 11 o'clock his time. So hopefully he'll join us. But yeah, people, man. I missed the game yesterday actually because I was at work, but I knew that was going to be the case from quite a while ago. So I had to watch it a rerun this morning on BT Sport. But very pleased with what I saw. But further ado, people, let me introduce my amazing panelist here, or panel. So it's been a while since you've been back on the channel, but yeah, good to get you back on again, man. And before you say anything, thank you for the support, particularly over the humdinger of the last 2 to 3 weeks. So much appreciated, my friend.
No, man, it's all good. Yeah, it's been a while, and we're back, back to winning ways. Bounced back, obviously, after a defeat midweek, which is exactly what we needed to do. So yeah, obviously we'll digest into that, but it's good to be back.
Yeah, no, much love, man. Of course, like I said, people, follow my esteemed guest on his social media Twitter handle, which is on the screen, easy to find, and he's got a channel, of course, as well. So subscribe, people, subscribe. But yeah, obviously I'm quite fresh to seeing the game this morning, even though it was yesterday. Yeah, like I said, it was important that we, like many Arsenal fans would have said, to be honest, not just myself, to bounce back after the midweek defeat against Liverpool. But listen, they're a top side Liverpool, and they've been a team in the making for 6-7 years with new additions. So I'll be honest, Souls, man. I always say this to people, man, every season, right? If there's one team I want Arsenal to beat, probably, you know what? I'll be honest with you. Maybe even arguably more than beating Tottenham. Just something about Liverpool, bro. I don't know what it is. They're one team I want us to beat every season. I'll be honest with you. But listen, we'll have to wait again for another day, man. But Souls, yeah, 1-0 away when we bounce back. Arsenal 5 away wins in a row in the Premier League for the first time in 7 years. I didn't realize it's that long. That's a very, very long time. We go into the game with not the same team, obviously. Martinelli illness, and Berlino comes in for Aaron Ramsdale, who has a hip injury. But yeah, so what was your thoughts going into this game yesterday against Villa after the Liverpool defeat in the week?
I mean, I've done a few predictions on the other people's channels as well, talking about sort of the run of 7 games that we had. So it was stemming from, I think it was the Wolves game all the way up until the Aston Villa game. And I said I'm expecting to win every single game bar the Liverpool one. And I go, I'm not saying we're losing the Liverpool, but I just don't know what will happen, because we could go into that game with confidence and we could probably get a result out of it, or we could go into that game in poor form. We don't know. But after looking at sort of the Wolves games and like the way we bounced back in those, the Watford game, we've had a few 1-0s and we've kind of slumped our way through. Obviously 3-2 against Watford, where we had to show a bit of character not to crumble. I was quite confident. I didn't expect a clean sheet, I'll be honest. When you look at Coutinho, Ollie Watkins, Danny Ings coming off, Leon Bailey can come off the bench as well. You've got Buendia, you've got, McGinn. They've got a lot of attacking threat, even Matthew Cash and stuff. Obviously, we knew Digne wasn't going to be playing, so that was somewhat of a positive. He's a very good fullback, especially going forward. So going into it, I was quite confident. I didn't expect 2 players to be out, if I'm being honest. It was kind of last minute. news to a lot of people with the stiffness of Ramsdale, because that wasn't really spoken about in the press conference. And obviously Martinelli getting ill, that can happen anytime, like we've seen against Brentford, where two of our strikers, literally out of COVID 2 hours before kickoff. So that can happen. But it's good to, we've got ESR and we've got Leno. And I was quite surprised. Obviously, we'll get into their performances, but going into it, I was a bit like, firstly, I didn't know what happened. I was like, what the hell? Why is Leno playing? It's just so random. And then I was like, ESR was a bit like, okay, whatever. And then I saw the bench. I was like, wait, there's no Martinelli. What's happened to him now? Because I was like, because obviously you go back to PTSD, you're like, oh shit, please don't tell me he's done something again to his knee or his legs or whatever his injury was. And thankfully, it's not, he's just ill. And we got the job done at the end of the day. We needed to bounce back. We needed the win just to get, especially going into the international break. We've got a 4-point buffer on, United and West Ham, I believe. West Ham are playing today. So we'll see what happens there depending on the result. But both the top 4 contenders and Spurs and West Ham are playing each other. So both or one will drop points, which is only a positive for us. So yeah, we had to win.
No, well said. I had to put you on mute because I said to you before the live stream, there's a guy next door cleaning his motorcycle, man. It is loud. So hopefully that won't come through when I'm speaking. But like I said, it was about bouncing back. Arsenal have kind of gone through the season where we've gone on a run of games and which we've won and picked up in very, very important points. Then we might lose against one of the big boys, which can happen because we're not there yet as a team. But you know what? I had Arsenal down to our next 2 games. Obviously, the game yesterday and the game against Palace. I said Arsenal get a minimum 4 out of 6 points, and I thought we'd win yesterday. I thought we'd nick it, and we did. Even though it was quite comfortable in my humble opinion. And I think Palace will be tough. Palace will be very tough away. They've got some very, very good players that can hurt us, as we thought would be the case yesterday. But we stifled Villa's souls, man. Like I said, they had some very good attacking potent players in terms of Coutinho, Ramsey, McGinn, and Buendia. But and it's not like Villa were coming into that game yesterday in a bad run of form. I think they won 3 out of their last 4 games they've won. So and obviously Villa Park's a tough place to go. So I thought the first 15 minutes, especially, so I thought we kept the ball very, very well. There were great moments of combination play. And to be honest, we deserved to score to go 1-0 up, to be honest, mate. I know people were a bit critical about Martinez, but I thought it was a good goal. I think he couldn't have done anything about that. What was your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I thought it was a professional away performance. Exactly kind of what you need to do when you're going away from home. You've got to try and get control of the game. We look like the home team, which was quite surprising, especially in the first half. And it's a brilliant strike from Saka to get the lead. And that's the thing, you need those moments of magic sometimes. And that was just a great finish. And I think Martinez was anticipating whether a deflection would come or whether it'll go straight through. It's a bit of a difficult one for keepers just because of how many bodies were in the way and they see it very last minute. So it's more about how quickly you can reflex to anticipate what the ball's going to do. It was just a brilliant goal. It's composed. It was a bit scrappy in the box, and that's what we've been good at. Getting set pieces, utilizing them. And on the other end, we haven't conceded a corner this season in 130 something attempts. So we're looking good both ends of set pieces. So that's the big difference. And we could have been 3, 4, maybe 5 goals up if we were just a bit more clinical. The decision-making in our shots and whether we laid the ball off were a little bit better. And but yeah, we win, and that's the main thing. We don't look at all the little mistakes and the little things that went wrong. And they couldn't do anything. You know what? Someone summed it up perfectly when I was watching the stream. It's the fear factor of Arsenal again. And we are now instilling a bit of fear and a bit of nervousness into teams that aren't better than us. So what I mean by that, other than your Liverpools, your Cities, maybe a Chelsea, and obviously Spurs because of the North London derby factor, we're instilling fear into the opposition. They're coming into this and knowing that this team can do something. If we're not on our game, they will just tear us apart and rip us a new one. So we need to be on our 100%, and we need to make sure. And there's no more or just kick the players and they'll just, they'll roll over and you can beat us. It's no longer that. And that's why teams are looking a lot more like they used to when we had Wenger in his prime, and teams were sitting back. They were very cautious. They didn't really know what to do, and we startled them, and we could beat them 4-0 or have 4 goals on them and have so much attacking dominance. That's coming back to Arsenal. They're now starting to fear us a little bit, and that hate is coming back as well. Even when you look at the post-match comments that a lot of their players were making, it's becoming a common theme. So that's all it is. It's, a bit of, we've just got to utilize that and bring that to our advantage and actually play our football and not drop back at every moment we get, which we're not doing anymore. We're keeping that high line. We're sustaining attacking pressure. Of course, in an away game, it's always going to happen where you drop off for 10, 15 minutes. It's just natural to do that. But it was just an all-round solid professional away performance for me. And it was a moment of magic from Saka that got us the win.
Yeah, you touched on something which I was going to bring up, but I'll sort of touch upon it now. Is don't get me wrong. Let me make this very, very clear before Arsenal fans lose their minds. But I'm very happy with the current form and our pursuit of a top 4 finish. But one thing that we do need to improve on is to kind of talk about is, you mentioned about the poor decision making. There were 2 examples yesterday. The first one was when Saka broke free on the left when Jacob Ramsey thought it was a foul and it wasn't. You've got to make better decisions at that point. That was the first one. So the second one was the Lacazette when he had the ball in the 75th minute, and you've got the easy pass to Ødegaard on your right, and he goes for the shot. That's what I'm talking about in terms of poor decision making, because you've got to remember it's only 1-0 at the time. Like I said, we was relatively comfortable in the game anyway. Villa had probably, I would say, a 10-minute spell for the first 10 minutes of the second half, and obviously to the end they got to chase the game, trying to get back to 1-1. But yeah, Arsenal need to sharpen up on that, and that's not something that's going to happen overnight. But it's about, once being in the ascendancy, putting the game to bed. And that's what I'm talking about. 2 key moments like that could have gone against us, and we could have been walking away yesterday at Villa Park with a 1-1 draw. And that's not what you want. Give me 2 minutes. I was going to bring in my bro. He's here, man. He's here. He's in the backstage, man. Let me bring him in, man. Let me just overlay out of the way. Let me bring him in. Add him in. Yes. Boogie, man.
Gentlemen, how are we?
Not bad. Welcome aboard, man. I knew he was going to come on, man. I thought we start, but I said to the people, we're going to bring him in, man. Scott, what's the time over there right now?
It is currently 11:20 p.m. on Sunday evening, and I may or may not have just shut my eyes for a quick 10-minute nap before this, and might have gone a touch more than 10 minutes. But look, I managed that sleep much worse than Arsenal managed the game, because we managed that quite well, didn't we?
Yeah. So I'm going to come to you. Me and Sol sort of touched upon like the first 15 minutes. I thought Arsenal were impressive. We kept the ball well. Great one touch, good combination play. Deserved to go 1-0 up. Saka gets Arsenal's 2000th goal in the Premier League. Wow. We've joined an elite club. But yeah, what you're saying, Scott, I'm going to bring you in terms of, Sol's mentioned it, and I'm sort of touched on it as well, that Arsenal are very guilty of poor decision making. And I gave 2 examples in the first half. One in the first half, so both in the second half, where Saka's going through after the initial tussle with Jacob Ramsey. He's got to make better decision making, and Lacazette should have slipped the ball to Martin Ødegaard on the 75th minute. And at that point, it was only 1-0, mate. And that's the thing. I think that's the difference between walking away with 3 points and potentially walking away with a 1-1 result. So, yeah, what do you make of Arsenal? Sort of, what are the points in terms of the poor decision making and Arsenal's like kind of dominance in the game?
Well, just to kind of give it in a general phase, obviously because I'm late, but with a young team and a project that you're always going to have mistakes. Yeah, it's not the finished product. Even teams that are full of superstars who are already established, you still never have the finished product in football, particularly not the Premier League. But looking at the two examples that you mentioned, I look at Lacazette, and with him, this is one of his big problems. This is why he's never really solidified that starting striker job at Arsenal, because he doesn't consistently score goals at the Premier League level. Yeah, so that highlights to me our biggest transfer / recruitment problem that's coming up. I would happily keep Lacazette for squad depth. I would give him another year, but we need someone who's going to be banging them in and finishing the chances. So Lacazette, that's what you're going to get. But with Saka, that's youth. That's youth, and that's a guy who's exhausted. I know we rested Martinelli, but Saka to me is a man who will possibly be needing a rest very soon. I just get this awful feeling that if we don't rest him, it's going to catch up with him at some point.
I think they said he's only not started. Is it 2 games? I said, wow. He's played a lot of football, man. You make a good point. I mean, a lot of people were critical the other night, for example, that this is what makes me. I don't know if it makes me laugh or makes me angry. I don't know. I don't know what emotion it causes me. But for example, I heard the other day about Saka. Right? Oh, he was atrocious. People were saying that against Liverpool. I'm like, I'm not being funny. I don't watch Liverpool week in, week out, but I see them enough, and I don't recall too many games where Andy Robertson gets ripped a new one by any forward or winger in the league. He's a top fullback. It's a step up in class. So if you're expecting Saka to go and tear him a new one, that was never going to happen. You know, when we played them in the Carabao Cup, Liverpool were very clever. Look, they doubled up on Martinelli, they doubled up on Saka. They didn't give Ødegaard any room. They did it the other night with Ødegaard, especially as well. Like Liverpool are a good side. I don't know what people were expecting. So yeah, listen. Like I said, Saka's going to have games, and like Scott mentioned, in terms of youngsters, where listen, they're not going to tear it up every week. But if you look at ESR and Saka, for example, 20 goals between them in all competitions this season. That's excellent. That is superb, because we've moaned about for many, many years with the reliance when we had Aubameyang here that we're not getting goals from other areas of the pitch. I even think Ødegaard could chip in a bit more than he already has in terms of goals. And he will do. He will, because he's got that class about him, and, he does like to get a shot off. So, when I'm going to come back to sort of, I want to talk about the defensive side of it. But before I mention that, and actually, we'll touch on it now. It's the defensive side. That's one thing I was pleased with yesterday. I tweeted it during the week after the Liverpool game. Concentration is such a massive, massive thing. When it comes to Scott, there's going to be times in the game where there was 2 moments defensively for me I spotted in the game. You guys probably remember it. Ben White makes a brilliant sort of interception in the first half with his left foot when he's sliding for the ball, and Gabriel makes an excellent interception in the second half. It's those key moments of concentration defensively which have contributed to Arsenal having 13 clean sheets in the league. That's not by accident. So when people say about progress, I'm like, well, if that's not a sign of progress, then I don't really know what else you want me to use as an example. So Scott, defensively, yeah, come to you. I that's what I liked yesterday, is that when we was called upon, our 2 mainstays in terms of the centre-back pairings were excellent. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, you can tell. I mean, you and I spoke about this. I think it might have been in December last time we spoke, when we were trying to do predictions over an extended period, and we couldn't agree on it because, things can change very quickly, and we're not used to a defensively consistent Arsenal.
Exactly.
It's something we've not had in a very long time. But one thing we all could agree on was that this partnership, and even the back four, have developed from chemistry. And when you're playing next to the same guy week in, week out, you know his flaws, you know his strengths, you know his movement. It almost becomes telepathic. And I feel like that's what we've got with Gabriel and Ben White, who have formed quite the partnership for sure. But even out wide, you've got, Kieran Tierney,
got better.
Bit slow to find form.
Yeah, it's got better.
But getting there, and Tommy Yasu, look, I think Cedric's done a good job filling in, but he's not Tomiyasu. Yeah, we need him back in that squad as soon as possible.
No, Scott, it's a fantastic point. I know Souls would agree with it. Like, one thing, sort of the start of the season that I wanted to see from Arsenal more so, because I've been on the strikers case for quite a number of years, to be honest with you. But defensively, we've actually got a setup and a defensive unit that you can rely on. Like I said, in terms of clean sheets and wins, we rank third in the Premier League this season. You know, that's not by accident. Now, people argue and go, well, you know, United have been off it and they've got individual brilliance. And if West Ham have bought a couple of players in the January transfer window, that's all if, buts, and maybes. What's that got to do with it? You can only beat what's in front of you. So, listen, a lot of that is down to ex-players or pundits coming up with different alternatives now as to why Arsenal, they should be in the top four. They know they're a big club, but he wasn't saying that at the start of the season, so stop lying. None of them had Arsenal in the top four finish. I didn't have the Arsenal in the top four finish. And I've made that very, very public and very clear about that. But we're not going to sit here and bemoan the fact that if we get top four, what are we going to look at that as a negative? It baffles the mind. It honestly does. But so I was coming to you, bro. Yeah, get your thoughts on the sort of the defensive side of it. Like I said, I've been impressed. I don't think Ben White gets enough credit defensively, personally. Yeah, your thoughts, my friend. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's no surprise. It's had the most surgery. We've overhauled it the most. Obviously, bringing in Gabriel under Arteta, we brought in Tomiyasu, Ben White. The only player the only player there was Tierney.
Yeah,
and obviously Ramsdale was brought in as well. Obviously, sort of midway into start of the season, he came in after the international break is when he broke into being the first team keeper, which was kind of predicted by a lot of people. And it's the profile of defence that Arteta wants, you know, ball playing, you know, sort of dominant centre backs with, you know, a ball playing goalkeeper who can also obviously be a great shot stopper, and Kieran Tierney who can bomb forward and also do the defensive side. And then you've got Tomiyasu, who's basically meant to be a defensive fullback in an asymmetrical system, which is what we try to deploy. So he's bought the profiles of exactly what he wants or envisions his defense being. He likes, you know, one of his fullbacks tucking into a three in the back when we attack and one of his fullbacks going forward. And that's exactly kind of what he bought. Obviously, with Cedric coming in, he's had to adjust that, should we say, and kind of tweak his system to suit Cedric and Tierney both playing in the fullback positions, which he's done brilliantly. I think he's navigated that issue superbly. But that goes to Ben White for me. I think he was dubbed to be this big flop coming from Brighton, you know, with a £50 million price tag, and people saying he's never going to live up to it. He's just another Maguire signing. You know, why did we spend £50 million? We could have done better. We've got Saliba. Now, I'm not digging out Saliba because we've not seen him in the Premier League. We don't know how much better he can be or is, you know, should we say. And for me, Ben White's been our best defender. You know, I know a lot of people want to give it to Gabriel, but for me, Ben White's been more consistent. He's not had those shaky moments. Even when Gabriel was going through the rough patch, Ben White was saving his ass a lot of the times. And I think he's been phenomenal. You know, every time Gabriel has those moments, he passes it back to Ben White to really relieve him of the pressure of, you know, taking the ball forward. But that's helped his game, because if we look at Gabriel's sort of distribution overall, it's massively improved. Yes, he's got moments where he does some stupid passes, but overall it's going better. And I've always said it, you know, when you look at the great centre-back partners of even the modern game, you know, under Pep, under Klopp, under, you know, sort of managers who have gone and won things, you'll always see a common theme. You've got one who's more physical, who's more dominant, and you've got one who's meant to be the pacey, sweepy, you know, ball-playing centre-back. You know, Varane, Ramos, for example. You've got Poyle, PK,
Ferdinand Vidic. Loads.
There's always the two profiles. You've got one who's more physical, the destroyer, and then you've got one more. I'm not saying they can't be physical, but they're just more. Their role is to be a bit more sweepy
they dovetail.
And that's what it is, and that's what we're trying to build, is a team that fits the system rather than individuals who might be good, and that's the big key difference for me.
So I'm going to come to Scott. So my thing is, right, and I've seen, you guys would have seen it. I'd have definitely seen it. Particularly with Ben White, because I did. I'm with my content. It's very, very rare I will put my neck on the line for a player. and it's actually very rare, to be honest with you, like Christmas. But with Ben White, I stuck my neck out on the line quite a while ago. I said, listen, I like what I've seen, what his time at Brighton, at Leeds. I actually thought he had a pretty decent preseason at Arsenal. And I think he's, like Sol said, I think to me, defensively, he doesn't get enough credit. I think he's been excellent. But why do you feel there's still sections of our fan base that have an issue with him? Because there's still people like that.
There's a couple of reasons. There's the Saliba agenda.
Yeah.
You've got, and look, I have massive props on Saliba. I follow the French national team as well as the Australian team because I've got some French lineage, and I followed this kid for a while. I know he's a great defender. He's ready-made for the Premier League. So a lot of fans can't move past that. You know what it's like with social media, all of that. People love to have an agenda. People either love to come off as really edgy and say, yeah, we're doing good, but I'm not happy with something. It's a way of looking edgy. But there's that. There's also the English tax. A lot of international fans particularly will want to put banter on him or disrespect on his name because he's an English player and he wasn't a glamour signing from a Real Madrid or a Barca, or, because we signed him from Brighton, he hasn't got that respect. But he's doing the right thing, boys. He's quietly performing week in, week out.
Yeah.
He's going about his business and he's helping Arsenal secure points. That's the best way to shut up your critics. There's no better way. You don't need to come out on social media. You don't need to do anything crazy. Just play good football and the respect will come.
Yeah, 100%. And I mentioned this, I can't remember, I might have been on somebody else's channel. I don't think it's even mine I said it, where I was watching, I think they call it Match Day Sunday on Sky Sports News, and it's on at 10 o'clock with Darren Lewis and Vicky Gomersall normally. And Darren Ambrose, ex-Newcastle, was saying that if you're picking the England best 11, Saka 100% is in there. And you know what? You could even argue, and I think it's a plausible argument, you could put Ben White in there. Because let's be honest now, if you go through the England centre-backs, who would you pick ahead of him? On current form, who would you pick ahead of him?
Can't tell you.
Yeah, and people have to generally ask themselves that question. And I also want to
probably
ask you,
Tomori, but he's not even in it. So,
and listen, he definitely should. He 100% should be in for a shout. From the people that I know who watch Italian football, say, no, you know what, this guy is, he's done well at AC Milan. But listen, I don't know whether Southgate sends enough scouts out there to go and watch him. Well, I'm sure he does, to be honest with you. But listen, Tomori should be in there. But that's another argument, But I'll sort of come to you guys in terms of let's speak to you about Arteta actually. I sort of spoke to Souls a little bit about it before the live stream. And I come to Souls firstly about this actually. I've seen a lot of big YouTubers who are non-Arsenal fans, right? Who have, how can I put it, swallowed their pride. Who are prepared to put the banter aside and rivalry and say, you know what? And I say this as well. I don't care if you play for Tottenham, if you play for Liverpool, Millwall, Bristol Rovers. If you're a top player, you're a top player. I've seen a lot of people who are non-Arsenal fans give Saka a lot of credit and say, you know what? No, this guy deserves a lot of credit. I see people do the same thing with Mikel Arteta. And I see a lot of people tweet and they're right. It's not about whether you like the manager or you don't. If you cannot see any improvements or the unity or culture created within the squad, where you got players coming out talking about Arsenal celebrating like they won the league, then I don't know what you're watching. Like Souls, you mentioned about the corner thing, 120 odd corners, whatever it is, to not concede a goal from a corner. That's incredible. If someone had said that to me about a stat about Arsenal defensively from that point of view 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have laughed. So coming to you, what is the reticence in terms of giving this guy any type of credit whatsoever. And before you answer that, what I mean by that is, listen, I've given my views on about the manager, him being lucky to still be here. If he was in any other club, they might have sacked him and blah, blah, blah. Everybody could share that same view, but I don't get it. Like I said to you before the live stream, Arsenal fans can't help when they're born, right? So, but a lot of them would have supported the club when we have not been successful. So what has this manager done to you that you cannot, that you point blank refuse to give him any credit?
I think it's how hard they went in on Arteta. A lot of them kind of went in with no return and just said, nah, never going to happen, you know, and they criticised him. They've borderline abused him in a way as well, with some of the comments that they make about him. And some you can even borderline into like sort of racism because, you know, the whole like bringing like tapas pulis, for example, I do find that offensive. Like if I was Spanish and what's the need to call me like tapas, whatever? Do you know what I mean? And it's just abusive. Like it is abusive. Like if we're going to, I know people are going to say snowflakey comment to make, but for me, it's just, you need to cut these things out because that's what spirals into future racism and just allowing people to say what they want. And that's the point of no return is what I'm talking about. For me, it's difficult to comment because I've always been an advocate of Arteta and I've said he needs the time in his players. So it's difficult for me to comment because I've never really been... I have criticised him and I have said maybe he's not the right guy, but I've never fully turned into sort of, oh no, this guy needs to be sacked. So I don't know. It's the honest answer. But if I was to put myself in that shoe, it's like people have gone to that extreme that they just don't see him ever doing anything. And it's this whole social media thing of I can't be wrong. And if I'm seen to be wrong, it's like I've got no credibility. No, I tweeted this yesterday. I go, because we had this debate on the football terrace a few weeks ago saying, how come all these sort of Arteta inners have just fully accepted people who are now turning and loving on Arteta? I go, because they've dropped their pride and admitted, not even that they're wrong, but that maybe they were harsh or maybe their criticism was overdone. And I go, they're the kinds of people I respect and I don't have a problem if their opinions change. But the people who I genuinely can't stand are people who, even like say for example Arteta was just losing, let's say he didn't win these games and he was just losing, and I sat on here and go, nah, he's the right man, but I couldn't tell you why. You'd sit there and go, this guy's on something, you know, and you'd lose respect and you'd say, you know what, this guy ain't credible. And that's the problem. And I can't accept those kinds of people who can't drop their pride. I'm not saying he's the right man because of our form. And if you think he's not the right man, that you're wrong for saying so.
And that's the difference. That's the difference. Go on.
And it's just about for me, it's about being balanced and giving him credit where credit is due on what he's done right. But be critical on what you think he's doing wrong. There's things even when we win he does wrong that can cost us in the future, like some substitution decisions. You know, sometimes he's too late and he's not proactive enough. There's still elements of that. Yes, there's times where he's done that right. But I just hate when it's an overload of, doesn't do anything right. And now a lot of those high standard FC, as we call them, are now saying we don't want Champions League football. Like, I mean, what? And this is the problem: is when you constantly change goalposts. It's like, now that's when I think it just becomes you're putting it because you have to, because that's the only reason you're relevant, because you've been criticizing, bashing the manager, and that's the only reason you've got any form of clout or following or anything, because that's what you've built your brand on. But when it comes to trying to praise him, you can't do it. That's the problem.
They point blank refuse. Coming to you, Scott. I said this to Souls before we did the live stream. I said it and I'll say it publicly as well. When we go on a run of games and we win, I see a section of Arsenal fans that don't say anything. They don't say anything. When we play the City, when we play the Liverpool, and when Chelsea and maybe even Tottenham come, that's when they come out the woodwork. Like I saw a lot of feedback after we lost Liverpool. Right, I was watching some channels and tweets and whatever, and I'm seeing rival fans Liverpool fans saying this, saying, you know what, you guys need to give Arteta a little bit more credit. That's a Liverpool fan saying that. But I just don't. I don't really understand. And they'll say things like, "Oh, but I've got a, it's about having a." You can't be telling another Arsenal fan they have a loser mentality, right? Because I don't know what, because Mikel Arteta is in charge, or we won 5 games on the spin, or 9-11, or 10-12. It is now. I think I don't get it. I don't understand what does the manager have to do for you to give him any credit?
Look, he's turned things around. I can see a difference. I can see a
The
difference now
football's
when
a
I
lot
look at.
better.
I'm not talking even about results, Albert.
Yeah.
Even in defeat, I look at Man City and Liverpool as 2 examples. Even in defeat, I can now see a little bit of our identity forming. I can see that the squad mentality is strong. You only have to look at, Ramsdale going on and congratulating Bern Leno for a clean sheet. Like, he has built something.
Yeah.
Now, I think at times, Mikel Arteta, let's put some facts out. He's also a very stubborn man.
Yeah, very.
He comes across as a man who is very, very stubborn. And there have been some big things he has got wrong. And my biggest criticism of Mikel has always been sometimes it takes him too long, or his pride gets in the way to make a call. We look at Emile Smith Rowe when he came into the first team. We'd been crying out for a creative spark, someone in that middle, for so long, but we persisted with players that were lackluster there.
Yeah.
He eventually, when things hit rock bottom, he made the call and it turned us around. So I feel with Arteta, he's getting less stubborn. I feel like he now knows his squad much better. He's got his preferred team. And that's an important thing for a manager. I don't mind some rotation, but a manager needs to know his best 11, his best formation, and the best way to play.
And
I think now we've got that. So he's earned my trust.
No, well said. I just find it strange now with some sections of the fans, they only come out and hammer him even more than what they've done. Probably.
Albert.
Yeah, of course, 100%. Yeah, because to me, the barometer, yes, you can measure it against the big sides. I said it to Dan Potts before the game. I met him before the Liverpool game. I said to him, look, it's not just for me. It's not just about top 4. It's not just about that. It's about when we play the bigger teams, we need to go from, playing well, we're obviously a bit unlucky, to beating these teams. We need to do it. Listen, I'm not delegating the 10 wins out of 12, but in terms of the big games and making a statement, and for this team to improve, and come to summer recruitment, we need to get a striker in the midfield areas we need to address. But it's, to me, it's about making a statement and beating these big sides. I'm not saying it's easy. I don't expect to go to the game on Wednesday and us to go and beat Liverpool 3-0. They're a good side. From back to middle to front, they're a very, very good side with additions there. But it's going to take time. But listen, like I said, there's times where you're not going to be happy with what the club are doing, whether that's watching them 90 minutes on a Saturday or a Tuesday, or what's going on in terms of the board and the recruitment. But if you're not, listen, you can't just come out and just only hammer us when we don't beat the big teams. That's not a good barometer to measure this side. I mean, how many games have Liverpool, Man City lost this season? It's not that many, is it? So come on, let's be serious as fans, man. What are you expecting? Like Sol's mentioned earlier about, we don't want us getting Champions League football. I mean, what kind of talk is that?
You've got to look at your expectations, though. Like, I know for me, I predicted a 5th place finish for this season. And I'd always said on our show, I said, I'm happy to be back in European football, not the Conference League. I don't want that Spurs tick up. I said, but for me this season, no excuses. Arsenal need to qualify for Europe again.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't think there would be many fans who went in with expectations significantly higher than that. I think you would have had a lot of fans who said, no, top 4 or bust. But beyond that, what was anyone predicting a title challenge? Because if you were, you're delusional. So I don't understand how people can't be happy, because you've either done what I did and predicted and set your bar at let's get back into Europe, or you went one level higher and said, no, top 4. Well, currently we're in the driver's seat for top 4. Long way to go, admittedly. And I'm pretty confident we've locked down some European football for next year. So I don't understand what people are unhappy about. They've turned this into an agenda. They want to be known as that person who, is going to be overly critical and hates the manager. And now they can't go back because, as Saul said, and he said it so perfectly, they've gone too hard in to pull out of the tackle now. I think of it like a tackle. Yeah. They're already sliding studs up. They can't stop the momentum. It's too late. They're going to Granite Xhaka
and Scott to flip it. Also, I mentioned this the other day. Like for the ones that have been very, very, very adamant, Arteta, I don't want to be seeing you in. Oh, I told you. No, you didn't tell us anything because he was an inexperienced manager, right? So you didn't know what was going to happen. You can't confidently sit there and say that, we're going to win the league in the next 4 or 5 years. So don't be the opposite. Don't be the one to say that I told you so because you didn't tell us anything because you didn't know what was going to happen. Arsenal were on and off the pitch were not in a good position or a questionable position. So on the other hand, the ones that are being ultra negative and point blank refuse to see any progress, then you've got the other scale where, I told you this was no, you didn't know anything. Let's cut the BS. You didn't know anything. Yes, you might have seen credentials and potential there, but you can say that about a lot of top managers, young managers in Europe. But you need to, there needs to be. I saw Michael Owen's tweet last week about giving the manager time and whatever. And listen, I don't agree with anything Michael Owen ever says, but I did agree with that because I thought he was spot on the money. So like I said, it's not about like you said, it's agendas and it is personal with him. I've said it for time now. Like I just think, wow, like if you look at our last 5 league campaigns, right, including this season, in terms of goals conceded. It's very easy to go and find. It's easy to go and find. And I think if we maintain the level of clean sheets we've had this season already, it'll be another significant improvement. But then on the other hand, as I mentioned earlier to Souls in the stream, our decision making at the top end of the pitch needs to be better. Hence the reason why our goals for column is down for the last 4 seasons. But then come the summer, that needs to be addressed. Whether that means giving Lacazette another year and bringing somebody else in, or Lacazette goes, or somebody else comes in, whatever the situation may be. Goals scored, goals win matches. But you know what? I think what's kept us in the top 4 race, I think it's the clean sheets. That cannot be ignored. 13 in the league. Come on, man. Like, people, if that's not improvement, then I don't know what is. I generally don't know what is. But guys, I want to get your sort of, I want to get your man in the match. I want to get your score predictions for Palace before we wrap up. But Souls, for your opinion, who was man in the match yesterday?
Oh, that's hard,
It's a tough one. Yeah, it's tough.
Glad you're going first, Souls.
Yeah, you know what?
I know Steve McManaman gave it to Saka because of the goal.
Yeah, do you know what? I'm gonna go with the most out there one because I always give my man of the matches on the performance I don't expect rather than the performance I expect from players, and that's gonna be Granit Xhaka. Okay. And I know people are gonna look at it and go, "But what did he do?" If you watch the game back, you'll start to realize actually he does silently go under the radar with a few things that he does to create space. There was the one time like flick-ons for ESR. There was the one time sort of passes. He broke the line. I think it was for someone on the right-hand side. I can't remember. It might have been Odegaard to run in and he cut it back in. So he was just doing things that I didn't expect, like we haven't seen for a while. And because it's easy to go Partey, because Partey was, and Saka was obviously two of our best. But I always like to give it to the player who probably I didn't expect that performance from more than the person. Because Partey's performance I kind of expect now, and Saka's performance I'm expecting him to do that. Whereas with Xhaka, I just didn't expect some of the things he did to help us attack as well. And he was on a yellow card and he stayed professional. That's ultimately credit to him. Normally that's a red card. One of them would get a red card being on yellow card.
And even that yellow card wasn't a yellow card.
Yes, it was so. They said accumulative, and I was like, you didn't do even if you were going to book him for that. I was like, well, then why didn't you book Buendia, who pushed him first? So it was just all round BS. I was like, nothing makes sense here. But anyways, he kept it professional. So he'd done his duties both, defensively and going forward. For him, it's just. It can't help his pace, but he's just a bit slow sometimes. But that's Granny Xhaka in it, I guess. But yeah, no, I'm going to give it to him.
No, fair play. Go on, Borgie. What's your thoughts, mate?
Mate, I'm going to be boring. I'm going to go with my man Bukayo Saka. This kid is just something special. We almost need him and Martinelli to stop playing so well, just so other clubs forget about them. Because I'm telling you now, I know I was awful tonight. I had a bit of a nap. But the only reason I wake up in the morning some days is because I have nightmares that someone else is going to sign these guys. That's what happened. I was laying there on the couch and I woke up seeing Martinelli in a Liverpool jersey. I said, I better get to the stream. And I ran in here as quick as I could.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's gone to the next level. And one of the big criticisms of the team was that we weren't scoring.
That's the thing.
And these young boys are starting to step up now. Like Erdegaard's chipped in a few. Martinelli has chipped in some. Saka's chipping them in. And we know Emile Smith-Rowe's got them.
Goals by committee, yeah.
Saka for me though, he was relentless in the match. He just kept going.
You know what? No, good shot. I'm gonna be a bit different actually, because you know what? Clean sheets are massive in football, absolutely massive. Lucky enough to have 13 of them this season in the league. So, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. I'm gonna give it to our centre back pairing, because when you're caught, I think particularly with goalkeepers as well, because Ramsdale's done it very well. Like where there was games where he'd been overworked a bit too much for my liking, but when there was games where he's not had a lot to do, but when called upon, fantastic. And Gabriel and Ben White done that yesterday again, from a defensive point of view. So I'm gonna have a joint centre back man in the match pairing. But listen, don't think the clean sheets. Don't think the more clean sheets will come. And again, relationship building in this team has been essential to Arsenal's top four push this season. Yes, you can talk about the other teams having European commitments and being in cup competitions, but that's not really our fault. We can only go by what we see with our team and how they're progressing. So fair play to them. But guys, get your score predictions for Palace. That's going to be tough. I said Arsenal would get 4 points out of the next 6. I said we get a point at Selhurst Park. But coming to Scott, what's your score predictions, mate?
Oh, man. It's tough. Palace are a good team. It's not going to be a high-scoring game. I certainly don't see it being high-scoring. It's so tough, but I'm gonna go with 1-0 to the Arsenal. Famous scoreline. I could see us taking something late, although Vieira's team, just on a side note, he deserves some credit. He's put some respect on his name as a manager, because he's doing a madness with Crystal Palace. So I think 1-0. It'll be tense.
Yeah, no, good shout. So before I come to you, listen, they've got some. Conor Gallagher's had an excellent season. Got Mateta, Elise, Zaha's obviously a pain. Got some good. Tyreek Mitchell's been excellent for them at left back. Brilliant. So what's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, it's going to be tough, man. Even Eze is back now as well. He's getting a few minutes here and there. Obviously, a long-term injury, so he's not fully back, but he's still coming into the fold of things. Elise has found his footing, and he's having phenomenal games. And, Zaha always gives us a bit of, there's always a penalty to be won for them, and that's the annoying thing with him. But, it's a tough game, especially going to Selhurst Park, It's not even a park. It's one of those traditional Premier League stadiums, very old school, but the atmosphere is one of the best in the league. And, that plays a part, especially when a team's playing well as well, not just, we're we're doing what we're expecting. You know, they're playing good football. They've got a DNA and a culture coming into it. It's similar to like what Arteta's done at Arsenal, is what Vieira's doing at Palace, is bringing an identity, bringing the unity back in.
Yeah.
Not that they were not unified, but it just seems to be a lot stronger now. And they've got something to get behind, which is dangerous, you know, especially when you play them away. At home, you know, it was 2-2. Yes, it was in that weird patch of run that we had where, yes, we were getting results, but we weren't playing good. And this time we're playing good, so who knows what can happen. But the thing is, they attack, so that's good for us. They play to a system that really suits us, especially against teams that don't have the quality of a Liverpool or a City. So we could actually go and do something here. But I'm going 2-1 because I just don't know if we'll keep a clean sheet. They've got too much.
Yeah.
But then it could be another Villa where we go 1-0, you know. So, but I'll go 2-1 is my prediction for this one.
Okay, I'm gonna go for a 1-1. I'm gonna stick with my original sort of thought, even before the Liverpool game. But I want to big up to the people in the chat for joining on a Sunday afternoon, because I know you guys probably preparing Sunday roast and watching loads of football. So thank you for tuning in. To smash the like button if you haven't already. People, Scott and Souls, thank you for joining me. Scott, tell the people where they can find you, my friend.
Yeah, I co-host a podcast called It's a Football Thing with a Chelsea fan and a United fan. So it's been some interesting times at the moment, and we do 2 shows a week, so Tuesday and Thursday mornings for you guys. But if you check out my socials, the link's on there.
Yeah, people, go and check it out, man. Scott, Scott, next season, I don't know whenever you're gonna come over, man. I'll take time off work, whatever, man. I'll definitely make sure I'll come and we meet up, man. Definitely.
I'm putting some pennies aside, Albert. I'm putting them aside.
Well, big up people. Go and follow Scott, please, man. Souls, my bro, welcome back again. It's been a while, but tell the people where they can find you, man.
Yeah, the best place is on Twitter. Just follow me at Gunnar Souls. I'll tweet what I'm doing. And yeah, the YouTube channel's back now as well.
Good.
Trying to do regular content. Obviously, no Arsenal playing this week, so it'll be a bit varied with some sort of match reactions and just talking about the project and what we can look forward to. So not transfer talk per se, but kind of my own squad building, what I would like Arsenal to do. So yeah, you can look forward to that this week on the channel. Literally every social is Gunnar Souls. So whatever platform, just search Gunnar Souls, you'll pretty much find me.
Yeah, there you have it, people. Make sure you go and follow Scott and Gunnar Souls, and obviously your host Albert JTV. Because it's been a while since I've done a live stream match review. It's been a bit rusty, but it's all right, man. People, like I said, subscribe to the channel. I'll put this on my audio later to hear my dulcet tones on Spotify and Anchor. But people, yeah, match review over and out, man. Aston Villa 0, Arsenal 1. We march on to Crystal Palace, people. See you soon.